Hey everyone, welcome back to IDK If I Told You, but I'm navigating July. Today's episode is one that feels a little different, and I'm sorry that we're kind of going back to this negative place, but this one is going to be a little different. And it honestly feels different because it marks a moment in my life I honestly never thought I would reach. We are officially at the 365 days since my last serious relationship ended. It has been 1 year of being single and thriving. It has been 1 year since my heart was completely shattered. 365 days since I experienced one of the hardest moments of my entire life. And it's strange because when you're in the middle of that heartbreak, you feel like when you think about the year, you're like, what? That is impossible. And you hear people say that time heals all wounds. But when you're sitting there in pain, you can't even imagine waking up the next day and feeling better about yourself, or even waking up one day and it all disappearing. But, it does. Eventually, you adjust to the new normal. But you also wonder if you'll ever stop thinking about them. You wonder if you ever stop thinking about the heartbreak that you experienced. You wonder if you'll ever listen to certain songs without feeling that heaviness in your chest. You wonder if you'll ever be able to love someone again the way you loved them. And for me, this wasn't just any heartbreak and any breakup, but this was my first love. And I thought that I had experienced the first love before this relationship. But when I entered it, I realized this was going to be either the love of my life, my future husband, or this is going to be the worst breakup that I'm going to be experiencing yet. And it 100% was the worst breakup that I have ever experienced to date. This was the first person I truly pictured a future with, the first person I thought would be there for important moments and celebrations and even the everyday parts of my life. So when this relationship ended, it wasn't just losing the person that I had grown so close to, but it felt like the future I thought I was building was gone. But now that we are 365 days later, I can finally look back and say something I couldn't say then, that I've survived something I thought would break me. So today, I want to talk about it. I am finally ready. I know this podcast has been heavily anticipated, and thank you, I Don't Knowers, for being patient with me, allowing me time to feel, allowing me time to grieve, allowing me to find my inner peace so that I can sit here and talk about it with all of you. There will be moments where I might get a little emotional because I was thinking about it last night and I got very emotional about my breakup and how real it was, and just thinking about it brought back a lot of emotions. So today, I hope that you give me patience and you allow me to feel, and you also feel with me, because I know that this is a safe place, not only for me, but for all of you. So let's feel together. Sometimes, we realize a lot. And when it first happened, I don't think I understood how deeply the heartbreak could really affect me and how deeply heartbreak could affect someone. People talk about having a broken heart, but you don't truly understand it until you experience it yourself. I remember feeling like the entire world was being turned upside down and the world was against me, because not only was I experiencing heartbreak, I was also going through friendship breakups. And throughout this last year of grieving this relationship of my first love, I went through 6 friendship breakups. Let that sink in. 6 friendship breakups too. That is a lot for a person. I went through a lot. I was really going through it mentally. I was in the thick of it. And I seriously felt like the world was against me. When I was going through the breakup, I honestly felt like my spine was being ripped out of my body. Like the person who had become such an important part of my life was suddenly gone, and I didn't know how to exist without them. Like my nervous system was literally crashing before my eyes. My stomach was constantly in knots. I had no appetite. I felt like I was going to throw up. I was crying every freaking second of the day. I just didn't know how to be. And I think it was because throughout the relationship, I was losing myself. But once the relationship ended, I was just gone. The light behind my eyes was gone. And I didn't get that light back until, honestly, a couple months ago. And that's really sad to admit and really sad to say. But every memory, every conversation, every moment we shared felt like it was just playing on repeat in my head when I was first going through this breakup, and honestly months after the breakup happened too. And the hardest part was that life around me kept moving forward, even though I felt like mine had stopped. People were going to work, people were going to school, living their everyday lives. People were driving past me on the road. People are, getting engaged. People are having kids at my age. People are graduating college. People are finding their first jobs, moving on with their lives. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn is everybody moves at their own pace in life. And it's hard not to compare, but we can't be comparing ourselves to other people because everybody is different. Everybody has a unique story. And the age of 22, it's not my time to be with somebody and be in a relationship right now. And eventually I want to find my person. Eventually I want to be in a committed relationship, get married, have a family, have kids of my own. But right now, it's not right now. It's not right now. I was trying to figure out how to accept that someone who was once such a big part of my life was no longer there while everybody else is moving on with their lives. Because this was my first love, and I think I carried a lot of hope. I think a part of me believed that if someone was truly meant for you, they would always find their way back to you. Maybe they would realize what they lost. Maybe they would come back when they were ready. Maybe things would eventually go back to the way they were. I think the biggest and hardest lesson this year taught me is that sometimes people don't come back. And that's one of the most painful things to accept. It's really hard because we first broke up, and then throughout the week, I was debating on reaching out to him because, like I said, I felt like I couldn't move on. I felt like my life was just like, what was going on? And so I reached back out to him. He responded to me within a couple hours, and we met up literally that night. And I confessed my love to him for the first time throughout our relationship. And to give a little background on this relationship, we were together for almost 9 months. We had known each other for well over a year. We met on a dating app, and I really loved this guy. And for privacy reasons, I won't go into the depths of our relationship and who this person was because I want to respect him. I have so much love for him, and I want to keep that private. But when I was thinking about it last night, I was talking about it with my mom, and I started to cry because that second time that we met up, it was so heartbreaking. The way that we were with each other was just it was honestly a moment I don't think I'll ever forget. It was a beautiful moment, and it was as hard as it is. It was really, really difficult, and it's still difficult for me to think about a year later, but I am just so thankful for that moment because it was the closure that I needed. Even though I always thought that he was going to come back to me, he didn't. We're 365 days later, and he's not in my life anymore. A month after the breakup, we went no contact. He unfollowed me off of all social media, everything. But I know he's always there. But it was hard for me to accept that he didn't come back. And I was thinking, does that mean that he never loved me? Because we never shared the I love yous like I thought we were supposed to. And it wasn't reciprocated. But I came to realize that he did love me because of our last interaction with each other. The way that he showed me love wasn't through words, it was through actions. Words are equally as important as actions. And that's ultimately why our relationship ended, was because we didn't meet on that same level. There were a lot of hurtful things that were said throughout the relationship. And I'm such a sensitive person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And when someone says something that is very hurtful to me, I get very upset. Like I said, words mean just as much as actions, especially to a sensitive person. Even though he didn't tell me he loved me, I knew he did. And I know he does. And because when you love someone, you don't just miss the person, you miss the version of the life you had with them. You miss the routines, you miss the inside jokes, you miss the comfort, the future you imagined with them. But sometimes that person isn't going to come back. And that doesn't mean that that person doesn't love you or the love wasn't real. It doesn't mean the memories didn't matter. It just means that sometimes someone can be an important chapter in your story without being the person who stays until the end. I'm going to repeat that one more time because I need that for me, but also maybe one of you I don't know where's needs this as well. If that person doesn't come back, it doesn't mean that the love wasn't real. It just means that sometimes someone can be an important chapter in your story without being the person who stays until the end. Man, that gives me chills. Another thing that I learned throughout this year and throughout this heartbreak and all of the friendships that I lost is that healing isn't linear, and I knew that, but the friendships lost and this relationship lost really put that into perspective. There were days where I felt like I was finally okay, like, hey, I'm so happy, and I can put on a positive face, I can put on makeup, I can feel good about myself, I can laugh with my friends, I would get excited about my future. I would have moments where I realized I was becoming myself again. Sometimes I would look in the mirror and I would be like, oh my goodness, I see the light coming back in my eyes. And that was so important for me. And then something small would happen, like I would see a song pop up on my phone, or I would see on my phone, I still have all of the pictures that we ever took together. And some of you are probably like, why? Because I don't ever want to forget the love that was shared. And yes, it was hurting me for a while, and it still does hurt me, but I like that exposure therapy. But I would see an old photo, or sometimes like even when I'm home, or I had to go through one last year of college, and that's where our love really happened, was when we were in our college town. And I would drive past places, specifically, let's just say Culver's for an example. If you know, you know. And it would remind me of a memory. And it would make me hate that place. It would make me hate that song that would play. Or a date would come around, like birthdays, or our 1-year anniversary came up and I was an emotional wreck. But sometimes when those things would happen, it felt like I was back to the beginning of when I was first experiencing the heartbreak. And for a while, I thought those moments meant I wasn't healing, that I still missed someone. I must still be stuck. Like, I'm not ready to date yet. Like, I'm not ready to go out, even hang out with my friends. I just felt like I was in this emotional rut. But I also learned that healing doesn't mean you never feel sadness. Healing means that the sadness no longer controls you. Healing means you can remember someone without wishing you were still living in that chapter. Healing means you can still miss someone and still choose yourself. And that was something I had to learn. And I am so happy that I chose myself. Yes, I was forced into choosing myself, but I haven't looked back. I had to learn how to choose myself when the person that I wanted didn't choose me back. So, looking back now, 365 days later, I can honestly say heartbreak changed my life. It changed me as a person. It changed the way that I view friendships, helped me change my view and perspective on relationships in general. It changed me deep to my core and what I want in my next relationship, what I want when I find the one. It taught me that love alone isn't always enough. You can still love someone deeply and understand that something isn't meant to continue. It taught me that I deserve consistency. It taught me that I deserve communication without asking for too much. It taught me that I shouldn't have to question where I stand with someone who says that they want to be with me. It taught me that I shouldn't settle for the bare minimum. But more importantly, it taught me about myself. It taught me how to be alone. When I went back to school, I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment and I learned how to be alone and to love my own company, take myself out on solo dates. I learned that my life could still be full without being in a relationship. I don't need a man now. Screw that, Screw that idea. I don't need that. You do not need a man to feel complete, okay? You do not need a man to feel complete. What you do need to feel complete is yourself, because at the end of the day, all you have is you. I learned that I could create a future that I was proud of on my own, because this year, so much changed. And, I thought that this guy was going to be there when I graduated college, like I was there for him when he graduated college. I thought he was going to be my date to all these weddings that are coming up for me. I thought that he was going to be there for all the milestones, like getting my first job out of college, post-grad, getting my first apartment, post-grad, moving out, post-grad for him, or buying our first cars, or, all these important milestones in my life. I thought he was going to be there for, and unfortunately he wasn't. And you know who's going to be there for all of those? Me. This year, let's see all the things that I've accomplished within this year. I graduated college. I started pursuing my dream career. I got the confidence to launch this podcast, IDK If I Told You. I invested more time into my friendships and in my family. I discovered new parts of myself. I discovered new hobbies that I love. And somewhere along the way, I realized something, that I wasn't waiting for my old life to come back, and I was creating a new one. And there's a difference between moving on and moving forward. Moving on can feel like you're trying to forget everything that happened, but moving forward means you accept what happened, take the lessons with you, and continue becoming the person you are meant to be. So if you're listening to this, because your heart is hurting, I want you to know something. It's okay if the healing process takes a little longer than you thought. It's okay if you still think about them. It's okay if certain memories still make you emotional. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means that something and someone mattered to you, that your heart is so full of love. But I also want you to remember this. Someone leaving your life doesn't mean that your life stops. Someone choosing not to stay doesn't mean you are not worth staying for. And sometimes the closure we want from another person is something we get from ourselves. A year ago, I couldn't imagine being this okay, sitting in front of my laptop speaking about this heartbreak. I couldn't imagine laughing the way that I do now. I couldn't imagine feeling excited about my future. And I cannot wait to give all of my love to someone that truly appreciates me, somebody that truly deserves it, because I know I have a lot of love to give. And all of my I don't knowers, you do too. You are so full of love, and I don't want you to stop being the lover that you are because of someone and because of somebody hurting you. Don't allow somebody to do that to you. I'm choosing myself now, and I'm okay. Not because I forgot about the hurt, not because it didn't hurt and it's not hurting, but because I learned how to choose me. I went to therapy. I surrounded myself with positive energy. I surrounded myself with learning how to take care of me. So if I could go back and talk to the version of myself from 365 days ago, I think I would tell her this: that you're going to be okay. You're going to have more hard days ahead. You're going to miss them on days. You are going to wonder why it happened. But one day you're going to look back and realize that losing this person didn't mean losing yourself, because sometimes the hardest endings create the biggest and best beginnings. When one door closes, another opens. That is my life motto. Sometimes the person you thought you couldn't live without becomes the lesson that teaches you how to live for you. So thank you for being here and spending part of your day with me. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And I'm sending all of my I don't knowers love, because the world needs a little bit more of that nowadays. And remember, We're navigating life 1 month, one conversation at a time. I love you, I don't knowers. Thank you for being patient with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.